So, good afternoon, everyone, on this very hot Tuesday. I'm Seb from Ubi, and I'm just introducing this session really. David and Lawrence are going to be taking over in a second, but I just wanted to sort of put some context around this session. So, for the last 6 years I've been involved with Ubi. Um, Anyone who's been involved and started to use Ubi as their platform of choice for running their operations on their small farm or their food hub has asked, how can you help us find more customers and keep more customers and raise the average transaction value of our orders? And we've finally been able to answer that question with the Thrive project, which is something that we've just recently launched with a massive amount of work from Lawrence and also from David. And I'll let David and Lawrence introduce themselves. But this is really kind of something that's been driven particularly by Lawrence around the actual tools that have been built to work um, in connection with the Ubi platform for automating a lot of the marketing tools and tactics that have been tried and tested as ways to help with those three things: driving new customers, increase or keeping existing customers, and then also building the average transaction value. So I'm going to hand over to David now, who's going to take this on, and I hope you enjoy it and find it useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Seb. Welcome, everybody. I'm sure there's not a part of the country today that isn't feeling super toasty, but it's great to be with you nonetheless. I'd like to just kind of talk a little bit about the background, if you like, give a bit on the backstory and why we're doing some of these things. And then from that point, Lawrence will take over and he'll introduce some more about the technology and also based on his experience, how we can twin the marketing experience and the technology together to support you with a good set of tools. From my perspective, this is all about getting a clear vision and getting clear intention about where we are headed. And I always use this in my teachings because I always think about sailing, and I think about the fact that if we sail, even if we have good intentions to get to the right destination, but if we sail just 2 degrees off course, by the time we think we're at our end destination, we're in a completely different place to where we thought we'd started. And what I want for us all here is to be able to set our intentions, get our intentions clear, so that we can get to exactly where we want to with the minimum amount of trouble, particularly when we're all busy and focused. From my perspective, I want to support you by introducing a couple of different platforms today. So you've come through the school platform today, which we've been using over the last 8 weeks to put some teachings out there about what we call the Growth Academy. That's been really useful for us to not only test the technology, but also to start to look at how we're going to make this grow, to bring more learnings, more teachings, more education through the academy so that we can provide you with more tools to help you. And then the second part of that, of course, is the actual technological tools that can underpin some of those things that can be useful to help you, which Lawrence will come on to later. My goal for you is to create bite-size learning and development for this sector, for us to widen our understanding of each other and build community, and of course to use technology to help us, which is absolutely crucial as we move forward. As a reminder, there is some marketing theory here, which is in order for prospects to be able to see you, so people that may have heard of you or may have not have heard of you, they need to have seen you between 4 and 7 times in order to be able to make a buying decision. So what does that mean? They might need to see you, see a delivery happening to a neighbor. They might see you on Facebook. They might see a Facebook ad. They might see a post on Instagram. They might chat to a friend who's already taking a product from you. They might see your van go by. They might see you at an event and chat to you. They might be subscribed to your newsletter. But in terms of what we're trying to talk about here, the safety comes from seeing you in lots and lots of different places, and we all struggle trying to get those messages out there. So we're going to talk to you today about how some of these tools can help to get clarity on some of those things. The thing that's super important, though, is in order to be able to use the technology effectively, we absolutely have to know where we want to go. We have to know what our vision is, we have to know what our mission is, and we have to know what our goals are. And that starts from a very simple place, from planning. Because if we are planning and we're super clear about where we want to go and where we want to head, if we think of the ship analogy, we can get into specifics, into specificity. If we get into that specificity, we can get some clarity about where we're going. And from that clarity, we can set clear intention. From those intentions, we can take action. And from those actions, we can get the results that we are looking for, whatever they may be. And part of that is to think about our vision and our objectives and really understanding what we are good at. So often I talk about where we're headed, but I also think about our goals, our SMART goals, our specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals. What are they? What do you all bring that is unique? We may all be doing very similar things, but the way in which we do it is super unique. And that gives us an opportunity to start thinking about how we weave some of these things into the story we want to tell and who we want to tell it to. Thinking also about how we're getting help. Often we find ourselves in this sector trying to do everything ourselves. It's a real entrepreneurial small business challenge. We try to do it all ourselves, and often then we become quite challenged with the amount of time we have available to be able to do that. So often I talk about, what help you can get, how you can use your audience to help you, but also what technology and tools there are available to be able to support you in this journey. What are you good at? I think one thing that I always talk about is sticking to the stuff that we're good at. If we try and bend ourselves out of shape by doing things that we're unfamiliar with, or these things that feel unfamiliar, it can make it feel quite uncomfortable. So let's think about what our strengths are. Let's also understand what our weaknesses are and be conscious of those. I also talk about what the opportunities are that we can see, not the opportunities that we can see right now, right in front of us, but what are the opportunities that we can see long into the future? And this helps us, again, think about our story, where we're headed, what our vision is, what our mission is, what our goals are, because we may well be doing something that's deeply effective now, but the world changes, tastes change, and we want to change. So we need to think about that too. And also, what else is going on in the world around us? So do we have a competitive landscape? Are there threats to what we're doing by other people doing Me Too things or other things that may well be similar? So it's always good to try and keep an eye on some of these things and be aware of them so that we have the opportunity to be on the front foot and change up. And probably the last thing, which is one of the most important things that I see in all of this, is what you want to leave behind. Often we kind of get into the do. We're really good at the do. We get on and we get stuff done and we crack through stuff and we get results and we're really, we're really in it. But sometimes we forget about what we want as our legacy, what we want to leave on the table when we finish. So I'd like you to think about that as we go through some of these activities, both in the presentation today and in the presentations that are going to come over the coming weeks. For me, what's super clear, though, is this is where, from a deeper understanding of self, we develop our story. And from that development of that story and that deeper understanding of what we're trying to do, we can get very clear and demonstrable results. By having clear visions, missions, and goals, all of a sudden we find ourselves in a position where we're able to share a lot of that information. And we're sharing that information across a number of different ways and through a number of different audiences, and that has a compound effect. And that has a compound effect in all sorts of different ways. First of all, in the customer experience. If we're really clear that we want to provide a really top-notch service to our customers, and we really communicate that, and we really see that has a direct impact on our performance and our ability to be able to drive our businesses. The same with productivity, both with the things that we are doing ourselves, but also with the people that that are helping us to get there, and this helps their productivity increase. The direct link then to financial performance and to how happy our staff are or our volunteers are when they come and support us. Innovation and talent increases as a consequence of all of these things, and we also improve our relationships. So by being really clear about some of these things, we go from being seeing ourselves as being in this like peak and trough type growth activity, and then all of a sudden it has this hockey stick effect. But in order for that to feel achievable, we need to pin or connect that with effective tools and technologies that can help to take that action for you. So we take all of that clarity around our vision, our mission, our goals, our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. We get that really clear about where we're headed, and then we can use the technology to underpin and support that and make that to be really, really successful. As we go through the day and as we go through the coming weeks, there are some questions that I really would like you to now start to think about and ask yourself. How much time are you actually spending on effective marketing? And the important word there is effective. How are you making the goals that you have achievable? We don't want to start setting ourselves up to fail. So we need to think really clearly about what it is that we're trying to do and how we're going to make a success of that. Also thinking about the number of new things that we've tried. How many new things have we actually tried, or are we doing the same thing from year to year? And it's important to think about those things because sometimes we can get a little bit stuck doing the same things over and over again. But it's important to try new and try different things, and also not be frightened of when things go wrong. We can learn from those, repeat the good, we can stop the bad, and even sometimes the bad is just bad timing, and we may well be able to use those at a different time. Risk is another thing that we talk about a lot. How much risk are you prepared to take in this space? And is that risk enough of a stretch to be able to see the type of results and to get you to those goals that you're looking for? And probably the most important question, how can you prioritize this type of activity, sales, marketing, business growth, in balance with all the other spend that you have on your projects and in your businesses? Often it's very easy for people to say, actually, we'll just deprioritize that for now and we'll focus on what needs to be done in the ground. And this is as important. We're building pipeline, we're building story, we're building customers, we're building opportunity long into the future. And we have to start that now in order for that to be able to continue to bear fruit as we go into the future. So that's 5 questions that I'd really like you to think about, and you can come back to those in the recording if you didn't get a chance to get those down, but I'd like you to think about those. And also, if you're interested to post the answers to those, you can do that now in the school community. We can share that, we can see what other people are experiencing, see what people are feeling. And I'd really like to be able to see some of that coming through from you as we continue to drive our community. Before we head into the session with Lawrence now, I just want you to think about what your first step will be. You know, we talked about that clear direction. We've talked about getting clear with our goals and our vision. We talked about the background, the backstory, about needing to be seen. And we've talked about the possibility thinking of what can happen and how results can come. And I'd really like you to think about what your first step will be. The success to effective training is building habits. And we need to be able to help you guys to create those habits so that it becomes just like walking or driving or doing something that we just take for granted. So think about what your first step will be. And I'm now going to hand over to Lawrence, and he's going to take us through some of the technology and bring forward some of his experience in how we can make some of this, bring some of this to life that way. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, David. Yeah, so you'll drive for me, will you?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, just a bit of background from me. I have been involved with Soul Farm down in Cornwall for, I think we're heading into our 7th season, or in our 7th season at the moment. Before that, I worked, well, I've been sort of about 20 years working in design and marketing. And I sort of, off the back of COVID and so on, I stopped I went all in on Soul Farm. And so we were able to grow our veg box relatively fast and relatively quickly. And I've got to be honest, a lot of what I was able to do was extremely shooting from the hip, because I had all that experience in my back pocket. I was able to maintain a social media presence, which really was the main way that we got into things. But it was only in the last year or so where I actually took a step back and was able to look at some of the tools that we should have had all along. And at the same time, I've been working with some other subscription businesses and really researching and diving into best practice within the subscription sector as a whole. I remember talking to another farmer friend who also had a background in marketing about 4 years ago, and we were sort of going, oh, we need to set up welcome email sequences, and just got to do that, and neither of us kind of ever did. And so we took a bit of a back. It just sort of fell by the wayside. Soul Farm sporadically did newsletters, and it wasn't actually really until the sort of last couple of years where we were doing newsletters a bit more regularly. And it actually really wasn't until Abby, who's also in this call, sort of took it on, that we were able to maintain our newsletters every week. And I think the point that I'm trying to make there is that we created one habit, and then off the back of that one habit, we're able to add kind of more habits. But I didn't really get into farming to necessarily use my marketing tools, and I suspect none of you on this call got into farming to become a marketeer. You may not even know what email automations are, but basically what we've done is we've built a tool that links with Ubi, so that any new subscriber is added to a database. So I guess it's a bit like MailChimp or a tool like that, but it's synced with Ubi. So previously what we had to do was copy and paste new subscribers across. And I think I probably only did that once a year, if I'm perfectly honest. Certainly wasn't really keeping on top of it. I think maybe let's go to the next slide. I'm trying to remember what's on each slide. So basically, the picture that I sort of see is that Soul Farm, and I think many other farms, are doing the left side of this picture really well. They're doing the in real life stuff. You're engaging your customers on the doorstep. You've got your volunteer sessions. Potentially you've got events going on. But who I'm really trying to talk to here is people that aren't necessarily dealing with your online experience very well, which is community also. It's just a different form of community. And so I'm probably going to stop using the word marketing from now on and just talk about this as community building, community kind of engagement. And so what we want to do is really sort of help you with that aspect. Let's go to the next slide. So there's 4 key things that we want to do. So one is that we want to get more customers or members, if you're a CSA, to your website. We want to help you tell your story, create a good offer, potentially help you with some advertising ideas and some inbound stuff, give you ideas around promotions, and just create a really efficient and slick customer journey from your digital touchpoints like social media through to your shop. Then once we have a new customer, we want to keep them longer. So we want to welcome them, we want to onboard them, we want to tell your story, plus we want to be able to say to send them an email saying, how was your first box? Did we leave it in the right place? And so on. And then we want to bring old customers back. So lots of you will have a database of people that have tried you for a little bit, and we've got a system that we've been testing in order to try and win those customers back. And then we want to look at how do we increase basket value. And some of this is a sort of a guidance thing, so helping guide people to the right orders in the first place, but then ensuring people know basically what you offer. So what we saw with Soul Farm, and what I'm seeing talking to other farms, is that people go, oh, let's add eggs as a product, and then they stick it on the shop and just potentially cross your fingers. Maybe you add it to your printed newsletter, maybe you send it out in your newsletters, but what we're trying to do is really trying to effectively market the products that you're adding to your shop, so that you can just get those numbers up and increase your basket value. Let's go to the next slide. Taking a sort of a step back and just really thinking about new customers and acquiring new customers. If you spend money, which even if it's just time posting on social media, everybody is spending money acquiring new customers. Writing newsletters, that all has a cost attached to it. And without a proper welcome sequence or a welcome journey, you'll be making the acquisition of those customers more expensive. And what we're trying to do is drive down that cost of each member or customer joining. In those first 30 days of a customer joining your shop is, I call the messy middle. It's the first 30 days are kind of really wobbly, and they're just testing you out. And often they'll test you out for 1 box, maybe 4. And what we've done is we've looked at the graphs, the cohort graphs that are provided on Ubi, and really work out where your drop-offs are, and then trying to target those points through email and other ways in order to try and really make sure that we get them from 1 box to 4 boxes, and then 4 boxes to 16 boxes, and then 16 to 30, and so on. And what that does is there's a really important metric within subscription marketing, which is called lifetime value, or LTV. From memory, Soul Farms is sitting around 350 as an average lifetime value. And if we can nudge that up across the board, we really start to make gains. So let's move on to the next slide. So, for instance, one of the tools that you get when you join the new platform is a welcome email sequence, and this sort of spider diagram over on the right is just showing you this a bit of the back end, and basically it's a set of preloaded emails. You only have to write them once, you only have to set it up once, and then you just leave it running. And every time somebody joins, you can see people in the flow, and you can design this in any way. And the other, I mean, while I say you set it up and do this once, we are also continuously testing and finding kind of new ways and improvements of doing things. But basically, all we're trying to do is trying to make our new customers feel seen, trying to make them feel valued, and just making sure that you are kind of not ignoring them or taking them for granted. Let's move on to the next slide. So some of the tools that are on the system. So the newsletter builder. So lots of you will be using various kind of systems. Basically, what we hope is, especially if you pay for any of those systems, that you can stop that one and you can use this system. And again, as I said, it's all linked in. The advantage of sending out newsletters from this system rather than from the Ubi software as a whole is that what we want to encourage people to do, and this is maybe a little bit techie, is that we want to keep our sending email domains for transactional, really important stuff separate from our marketing stuff. So when we send out newsletters and stuff, that's considered marketing. And if there's any danger of that being spammed, what we want to do is make sure that our transactional or really important transactional emails are kept separate. On the system, there's a social planner, so this is really useful. You don't have that double opt-in issue of like, oh, there's an intern has just joined for a week and you want them to be posting to your Instagram for a week. I'm just giving an example, and it's just a whole thing, and you can just get them to do it through this system. And you can plan it and schedule things. Soulfarm has been trialing doing our sneak peek through Instagram, and that's an automated post that goes every week. So that's that's one of those little 7 things that we're trying to do. There's a bunch of landing pages. So we're trying to optimize the landing pages so that customers who arrive at your site will convert. There is surveys that you can build into it, and people have also been using it to replace Eventbrite. You can manage your contact management through there, your CRM. As I mentioned before, you've got the welcome sequence, the win-back sequence. That's the one that I was mentioning earlier about trying to get customers back. And then lifestyle cycle nurture is what promotions can you do? Can you ask people to review you? And lots of little check-ins that you might do over the life cycle of a customer. Yeah, the event pages, duplicated bullet point there. We've got various tiers that people can join in on, and in one of the tiers, we've got a bespoke strategy and onboarding session kind of built into that. So if any of this feels like really overwhelming and you're feeling like I don't even know where to start despite a lot of this training, and you don't feel like you can do it yourself, then we can hold your hand a little bit. And then as we've built this, we're building, is very much work in progress at the moment, but the school community, you've got direct access to the team, you can ask questions, you can, when you dive into the tools, you can ask us how to fix things or whatever. Let's go to the next slide. And the really amazing thing that we've done is that we've completely de-risked this. There is a cost associated with joining some of these tools, and I think that's for kind of obvious reasons, because there's just a lot of time and effort kind of gone into it. But that's why we've made it. We've made like different tiers so that based on your requirements, you can join at different kind of levels. But we've made the first 2 months completely free, so you can really kind of dive in there and see how it works and see whether it's going to add to your business for you. And it could be really beneficial if you need to convince a board or something like that. Going on to the next slide, I'll just quickly go through the 3 different tiers. So after 2 months, we've got the minimum tier, which is the one that I really sort of it is just the minimum tools I feel like most people really need. But the essential one on the left is the integrated. Has the integrated newsletter and the social planner and a few other little bits and pieces. And what we've done is I've actually done a cost analysis against if you were to use the tools. So we know we were speaking to a farm the other day, and they're using 5 different bits of software to achieve what we can do all in one, and from Klaviyo through to MailChimp and so on. And so we reckon that on the minimum, we're just shy of $1,000's worth of tools that we're providing. And we thought the most simple way of pricing this is to do it as an extra percentage on top of your existing percentage fee, so that we share some of the risk, and so you don't have to. So that when you grow, we benefit and so on. We're scratching each other's backs, and there's no sort of upfront cost. We do have an option which you can talk to us about, having a flat fee. I haven't shared the prices here, but we can talk to you about that, because what I would do is invite any of you to book in a call directly with me, and we can discuss your specifics. And that's obviously kind of completely free of charge. Just book in on the Thrive website, or through school even, and we can have a call and a chat about what your needs are. Oh yeah, just on the Pro, that's obviously a bit of a higher percentage, but this is a really hands-on version of it. So we will do a bunch of the work for you. So you basically consider us your kind of marketing team. And there is obviously the 5% is waived for 2 months, but there is a £400 fee at the front, just because we have quite a rigorous strategy session, and you will walk away with a marketing document, which you can either apply to the system or kind of do it yourself. So you'll get your value just in and of itself in that one. Finally, what is the last slide? Slide or two. So yeah, just to summarize, you're not the only one figuring out how to grow your business. We are here to really try and help you. David has years of experience working with Riverford. I have 20 plus years of experience working in marketing, plus my 6 or 7 years at Soul Farm. Plus we've got the hive mind that we're trying to build on the school community. We have a bunch of farms already using the system, and we have seen some good results. It's kind of growing. It is a long-term game in a way. So it's only going to be in a year, 2 years that you might see some of this lifetime value kind of achieved. But we have seen some farms being able to really create spikes in their orders. For instance, there was one farm that did the win back campaign and got won a lot of customers back. And we're actually testing that win back campaign on a very, very large box scheme quite soon. And so we're going to pick up a load of learnings from that one as well. So I think that's the last slide, is it, David? Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is.
So I just really wanted to keep it quite top line for now, and really just sort of introduce it in a basic way. I think we do have time for kind of any kind of quick questions if anybody had any, and willing to dive into any specifics.
I think just while people are thinking about what they want to ask you, I'm just going to ask you again, Lawrence, if people want some time with you, and they want to have a chat with you about how to move some of this stuff forward, how do they do that?
Yeah, I'll get the link now. And we're all new to school. Is there a comment feature here?
There is, yeah. It's the bottom right. There should be a chat button.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you can book in on the link in the chat button, and basically that's just a quick call. It's just 15 minutes, half an hour, and we can just go into a bit more detail, and so on.
So I've got some questions for you, just in case we're a bit short of questions. But has anyone got anything that they'd like to ask Lawrence or I whilst we're together?
Can I ask about, so with the welcome sequence and the win back stuff and the lead magnet stuff, is it through the UB platform, or do we log in separately to Thrive? And is it all so the Thrive system it's got all our customer stuff already. So how's it work?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. It is a separate platform, and basically the approach there was that rather than Ubi having to recreate something that there's no point in recreating something that was already doing the tool really well. So what it is it's about integrating the systems, and so there is a bit of an onboarding stage. We need to download your mailing list, get it uploaded on there, set up a few new domains and so on. But we hold your hand through that. But yeah, there will be a separate login, but it's all very straightforward.
And then is that updated regularly automatically, or do you need to download a CSV and upload it again?
No, so there's no. It's all automated. That's the really great thing. So that anytime you have a new customer, it gets added to the list, and then we'll set it up so that they're tagged. So that because what tends to happen is people need to import their newsletter list, and then they need to import their list from Ubi, and so we need to keep those lists separate and make sure that we're sending. So we might send sneak peeks just to the customers on Ubi, but we might send newsletters to the whole list, and so we need to manage those kind of separately. And through the system, there will be a new form that you'll embed on your website. And actually on the school, there is a bit of a best practice example of how to generate newsletter signups. And so just using that as an example of trying to grow that list if you can. So yeah, essentially you'll have a new form on your website. So newsletters will go in there, and then any new customer sign up will automatically go into the same database, and it will all be managed together.
Thanks.
Has anyone else got any questions? Certainly reminds me of back in the day when I was trying to grow my business, and the methodologies that I had available to me were Facebook ads when it was still called Facebook. It was that long ago, and face-to-face. You know, they were like the two big ways in which you could get stuff, get new customers. And so the opportunity here to try and use some of these tools, technologies to reach out and retain customers is just so, yeah, it's a really refreshing part of that journey. So it's it's deeply exciting. Can you remind us, Lawrence, about LTV? Can you just remind everyone what that is and why that's important, please?
Yeah, so it's lifetime value, and it's an equation where you basically take you try and work out you put a number behind how long people on average are a customer with you, and it's probably the one metric that you really need to pay attention to, because if you can grow that from 350 to 400, it's the cheapest way of growing your business. It's if you're spending £20 on acquiring a new customer in, you can spend far less at trying to lengthen their stay with you. And we will help you work out what that is, because it does take a little bit of poking around currently in the Ubi system, because I know Davey is working very hard on improving the reporting systems within Ubi. It's crucial.
I'm sorry, look, I missed the first 20 minutes of this, so if you already answered that, please don't try and do that in the next 10 minutes. But the CRM itself, you're saying the part of that, what does that have? What sort of information can I retrieve from the customer? Because I think what I'm missing at Ubi and in the system is certain data I'd like to have in order to approach them on their special days, and I don't know, find out about them as much as I can. So, have you answered that already in terms of?
No, it's a really good question. We can only, at the beginning, we can only import the data that you have and that Ubi has. And so if you're talking about, say, birthdays, for instance, I don't actually know whether Ubi has birthdays stored, but if it does, then we have that data. But what the question that the thing that I would say to you is, if we are starting from all the data that you've currently got, then what we want to do is trying to improve that data in however way that we can. So, for instance, you might run what you can do is you can run an email asking certain questions. And if people click on a link, it will automatically tag them with various kind of things. So you might be able to start segmenting your list in different ways. So say you had a post which asked people about the importance of local food versus like having something really unique for their latest dinner party. Two completely separate questions for probably two completely separate segments. And that would then help move your list, trying to basically move your list so you could then start to consider sending different emails to different folk. That's obviously quite complex. That's what a lot of the kind of big boys are doing because they're dealing with thousands of people. In terms of sending things on special days, do you mean like holidays and so on?
It could be anything. You know, drivers are driving around, they're getting to know the customers, they have a relationship with them, we get to know their children, you know, like maybe that's a bit too much, but I'd like to, it's hard for you to keep their names, like have certain, in order to personalize the service, not to really dig into their life, but when you have when you're seeing the children grow up and you can do special things and give them little gifts and stuff, and I think that's that personal touch that you can add with that. If you can log that information somewhere, retrieve it through surveys and ask certain questions and have them noted, and does it then give you alerts on, you know, all that stuff?
So it does all of that. It's a standard CRM system, so it has like a notes feature. You can email them through the system as well. And the really nice thing about that is that obviously if you have a bunch of people dealing with customer service, if you dealt with your customer service through the CRM, you'll be able to see whether somebody else has already responded to them. And then you can add notes. You could say, let's follow this up. In terms of like sending alerts, some of it you'd have to talk to us, or you'd have to like do a bit of research about how you might kind of set it up. But essentially what you do is you just create an automation. Ubi, internally, we have like Slack notifications to tell us when somebody's booked in for a call, for instance. And you could do exactly the same based on any kind of scenario that you wanted. So you could send yourself a WhatsApp or something like that. I think all of that is possible. And, you know, we're very early days into the system. And the really interesting thing is that, you know, you're raising questions there, Murat, that other people have not raised. And so you may be able to like really utilize it in a special way for you, whereas other people are using it in a totally different way.
Thank you.
Has anyone else got any questions? Super.
We've got a few minutes left. So does anybody, David or Lawrence, do you have any last words? Not ever, you know, just for this session.
I think the things that are important to me as I start to think about how we expand the school community and we increase learning and development inside the Ubi world is I'd really like to start to think about what people want to see. So we've just run this business growth course, which will run again. that's been over 8 weeks, 90 minutes on a Friday, and we've been diving into all the ins and outs of some of the things that I talked about earlier. And but there's a whole load more opportunity to deliver different types of content. And I'm not promising that we'll be able to do all of that, but I'm certainly here to explore that and understand what the community needs and wants. So that's something that I'm really keen to understand, how we can use the technology and the tools that we have to try and help us be more effective, and where there may be some of these opportunities, if there are learning gaps and stuff, that we can try and bring some of that knowledge. So that's one thing. And of course, I'll post the 5 questions that I asked in the school community. So I'll just encourage everybody to have a think about those questions that I asked, and to feel free to get in touch if they wanted to dive into those a little bit more with me. I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, that's.
There's a question from Karen in the chat. What is the benefit of the system over and above MailChimp can do? MailChimp has a bunch of different tools, but it is quite focused on kind of one aspect of marketing. So it obviously does email well. It also, I think, does WhatsApp, I think SMS. Just to flag, this system also does WhatsApp and SMS. So one of the farms that on the system is using that, really has got good results from WhatsApp. But what this tool is if you take MailChimp and then also add Hootsuite and also add for automations, and you add all these different bits of software, it's all of it kind of together, plus it's integrated with Ubi. So that there is, once it's set up, it's everything is more or less kind of seamless.
Thank you, Lawrence. Any last words from you, Lawrence, before we finish off?
No, I think it would be amazing to talk to all or any of you one-on-one. That'd be really great, and we can maybe figure out how to move forward. I'm just really here to try and help you guys as much as I can, in terms of like marketing and tools, and David here in terms of learning and personal tools. So yeah, hope you enjoy the sun, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Oh, Dan, you've got a quick final.
So how do we move forward? What's the deal? Did I contact you, Lawrence?
Yeah, contact me.
Dan, if you in the chat there's a link to book a call with Lawrence. Lawrence,
right.
Do you want to give your email address as well, just in case? I mean, we'll put a message out on the school and also send a follow-up email, I imagine.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of doing it through the calendar is that it's quite quick.
Getting a lot of feedback from Dan's phone, I think. There you go.
I'll have a look.
Brilliant.
I think you've got my WhatsApp anyway, Dan, but for the rest of you, my email's there as well.